Good evening. You are watching JP Dam World News on channel 1 million. I am Ariella.
And I'm Mia, coming to you all live from... Where are we again?
It doesn't matter, just keep going.
Well, it doesn't really matter where we are, but what really matters is today's topic.
That is correct. For Juneteenth in remembrance, we will be covering the Atlantic slave trade.
Yes, we are, Ariella. The Atlantic slave trade spanned from the 15th century to the 19th century.
Yup, and it was taking place between Africa, Europe, and the Americas, where slaves were traded for riches and goods. This was called the triangular trade.
As seen on the map, enslaved Africans were exported from West Africa and mainly imported to North and South America. Slaves were exchanged in Africa for European manufactured goods. Crops such as sugar and cotton went from the Americas to Europe. This completes the triangular shape we can draw on a map.
Yup, and slaves were a crucial part of this because they were used to work for those crops and goods. We can also see that in this document, the slave auction shows the way that people were horribly treated. The enslaved people were not treated as humans, rather as objects. It is truly horrific. And now we will be interviewing someone who is more knowledgeable about this topic.
Hi, hello, what's your name? We were just talking about the Atlantic slave trade. What are your thoughts on it?
It is quite the topic. My name is Pelagia and I'm actually an AP World History student right now. When we look back at the Atlantic slave trade, we can truly see how horrendous this event was.
I agree. Seeing you've learned about the topic, can you brief us on it?
Well, to start, the way that the slaves were treated from the very beginning was inhumane. People were chained together and placed into holding pens until they were forced onto dirty and crowded slave ships to be exported to the Americas. You can see this in the image. During the 4 to 6 week period on the ships, the amount of deaths was astonishing. As many as 50% of the slaves would die on the voyage. Slaves attempted to revolt or starve themselves, but their mouths would be pried open and forced to eat. Furthermore, any captive would be thrown overboard if they contracted a disease or if resources were running low. These harsh measures were taken in order to ensure the profit be made and for efficiency.
And now, for a quick break from this heavy topic, the weather forecast with Jada.
Thanks, Ariella. Well, as you can see, today the weather is absolutely scrumptious. It's so moist, we can practically drink the air. It's not what we had forecasted today, but when are we ever right? Know what I mean? Thanks, guys. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Jada. Now, there were several ways that slaves were captured.
Some were taken as prisoners of war, while most of them were captured from their homes by local leaders of the areas.
Once they were in their destinations, they were poorly treated and many tried to run away, which can be seen in the advertisement that has been posted by a slaveholder who is trying to find a slave that escaped.
It's most commonly known that after they were sold, they were used for labor in the fields.
However, slaves were also used for jobs that rulers did not trust free men to work, such as soldiers and advisors.
This segment is sponsored by Offspray,
Not really.
what we use to get through all of our filming.
This is what happens when you don't use all.
Should have used off.
Offspray.
The savior of all limbs.
The slave trade had an effect on demographics. It led to more men working on the fields.
This led to more women than men, resulting in polygyny, the act of a man having several wives.
Shoot.
Oh,
My
okay,
turn.
okay.
This was just the beginning of slavery and racism throughout our history. We must now deal with minorities that are battling the unfair situations they must deal with due to their race.
Thank you! Thank you. Thanks, Jada. Thanks. On that note, that concludes our segment.
This is Mia.
This is Ariella
And Jada.
saying good night